amigos, and welcome to Inside the UPSL on TVE Max and on TVEmax.com. You can also follow us on all of our social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, and on Twitter. That is at UPSL Soccer. I am your host, Alex Naveja, and with me tonight is Dennis Pope.
What's up?
Hey, it's good to see you, Dennis.
You too,
it's a two-man crew tonight. We're going to get it done tonight.
Yeah, man.
Just you and me.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. As we're here every Thursday night to bring you guys the fastest growing pro development soccer league, the UPSL. Now we'd like to welcome you into Off the Top, where we have the top 3 stories of lower division soccer. And Florida Soccer Soldiers doing some big things and winning a great game, winning that one 5-4. What were your thoughts on that one? What a wild ride. Break it down.
Oh, it was something else. They won the shootout 5-4, but even getting to that point was an epic. They went up to North Carolina, played Charlotte Independence of USL League One, and they really took it to them. Surprised a lot of people. A lot of people after the fact said Charlotte's kind of down right now, and Soccer Soldiers took advantage of them. Be that as it may, these are two teams that are 3 at least divisions apart, and Soccer Soldiers gave them everything that they could handle. Took it to double overtime, scored the late equalizer in the 100 and something minutes to get it to the point where they went to the shootout, and then they did the most audacious thing possible, and they sent their goalkeeper up to kick first. And not only did he score, but he did it with style, scoring a Panenka goal. I think it set the internet on fire right there. That everybody was saying Soccer Soldiers, what are they doing? Who's this team? And it's just phenomenal that Soccer Soldiers is carrying now the mantle for the UPSL going forward. It was a great game. I think everybody who watched it on ESPN Plus really appreciated being able to see that game. I think that's what the Open Cup and the magic of the Open Cup is about, is those cup sets, as it were. Seeing the lower division teams rise up and beat the higher division teams and showing them there's great players all over the country. And I think this is probably the latest example of that.
Did you expect this type of ending to occur?
Talking to both the coach and players from Soccer Soldiers this last week, they have total belief in victory this past weekend. They are 100% committed to this Open Cup run, and I think they're going to give it every ounce of blood and sweat they have possible to do great things for the club. What that means going forward here in a couple weeks and what that matchup is next for them kind of remains to be seen at this point. But this victory, I think they expected it. More people should have expected it.
And you talked about the Florida Soccer Soldiers being the only UPSL team, as Cal FC did go down in their next round, playing against it was Las Vegas Lights. Yep. Going down on that one, and it looked like Eric Winalda knowing all about Cal FC sluggers and knowing how to deal with these guys. You were shocked about that as well?
That one was a little bit surprising that Cal FC didn't come away with a little bit more in that game. They obviously deserved it. They played great. First half, they dominated possession. They were really good on the ball. Las Vegas Lights just had that final touch a couple times to put it in the back of the net. But it did seem in the second half like Eric Winalda did know what he was up against, did know to expect out of some of these players like Danny Barrera and Richie Menjivar, guys he's coached before. So he knows their strengths and their weaknesses and how to attack them and what to do in certain situations. And I think he took that expertise into full effect. Las Vegas Lights playing in their first Open Cup with Winalda as coach, that's a good showing for them.
It looks like Winalda did his homework, did his research, knew exactly what to expect against Cal FC.
They even started a 21-year-old goalkeeper, the Lights did. So whatever Winalda's doing right now, it's working. They're moving up the ranks in USL. They're doing really well. So I think even from Cal FC's perspective, this was going to be a tough match. But phenomenal that this sort of thing can happen. Cal FC, a team that was once coached by Eric Winalda way back in 2012, still hanging around, still available, still competing in the U.S. Open Cup, meeting up against the team that Winalda now coaches. It's just sort of a time warpy. It's a great story. I think it's really cool.
So now Las Vegas Lights will be advancing in the U.S. Open Cup, but now we still are accepting applications for the fall season, and surprisingly enough, the Atlantic Division the Atlantic Caribbean, they are going to have their very first fall season coming right up. Is that going to change anything as far as this fall season coming up?
Well, for them, it's going to be huge. I think having a fall season in Atlanta in the Caribbean division is going to change the scope of what they're doing there. This is just their second spring season overall, and this season has been a success that toppled their first season. And to add the option for teams to be playing in a fall season in that division, I think is just going to expand those clubs, expand what they're doing in terms of their programs, and we're going to see a lot of development coming out of the Atlanta Caribbean division. It's a mouthful, Atlanta Caribbean division.
It really is. I'd say.
But you're going to start seeing, really, really good players popping out of there because of the ability now to be playing year round. If they're having to take that break and take a step down and play in Sunday League or do something different to maintain fitness and not competing at a high level like they are in the UPSL, that takes away from player development. To be able to do this now year round and provide that fall-winter schedule season in addition to the spring and summer season, you're going to have teams that are focused year round on player development, on getting better each and every season. You can win a trophy twice a year. All these things that kind of compound what the league is now doing for the clubs, I think will lead to better development amongst the clubs and the teams. So it's like, putting perhaps a division, on, muscle builders here. They're going to start really beefing up what their program is and what they're doing in terms of their training and development and everything. So there's a real shot in the arm for the Atlantic Caribbean division to be able to play in the fall.
You're saying they're going to give them muscle milk?
Some sort of, something to get bigger, something legal, of course, to kind of, some, muscle max,
okay.
Something, but this is like a big time, boost, for this league to be able to do this year round. I think they're going to find themselves in a situation where instead of being a part-time club and having part-time players, you're going to have players committed to the team, to the program, and really start to see the benefits of that. Having career guys come in and spend their entire adult soccer career with a club and be able to perpetuate that to kids and create a community around your club there because it's running year round. It's not just something you guys do during the summer.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a lifestyle becomes at that point, and it's going to change everything for them.
You know what, talking about the muscle boost and all that, maybe I also want to sign up. That's the goal for me right now. I want to
trying to pump up.
That. Trying to do something like that, Dennis. So we'll see what happens in the summer. Got to build up for the summer. But the application deadline is July 7th. Do not forget to apply for those of you interested. As we're going to go ahead and step aside and hear from our sponsors. Fans, do not forget to follow us. Even comment your questions down below on the video. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. That is at UPSL Soccer. Welcome back to Inside the UPSL, presented by TV Emax. the Florida Soccer Soldiers victory was so insane that Lee Ifans just had to share his reactions over in the video chat. Check it out.
Yeah, it was a really good fun to do a watch party for the game last night. We had a feeling that Florida Soccer Soldiers would give a really good account of themselves. And I think we all wanted them to win, but as the game unfolded, it went backwards and forwards. Charlotte were a really good team. But then when it went to the penalty shootout, the watch party environment was a very good thing to be in the middle of. We had a few of the Florida Soccer Soldiers, some of the under-23 team, come down and watch the game with us. We put out on social media that we were watching it. And yeah, it got a little bit rowdy, which is the way it's supposed to be for a soccer game towards the end. And then when Bryant Martin, the goalkeeper for the Florida Soccer Soldiers, saved that decisive penalty, the place kind of erupted. Yeah, it was a really cool experience, definitely. The Florida Soccer Soldiers made a great job of that game. It wasn't an easy task. It's a long way to go. This is a semi-professional team, so a lot of people, have to clear with work or what have you, or school, to go up there. They went up there the day before as well. Approached it very professionally, and I think that probably stood them in good stead because they were there, they were fresh, they were ready to go. And there's that thing where you kind of feel like a big time soccer player when you're going to travel to another state to play in the game. So I think that probably helped them massively, and I think that they got what they deserved. It was an even game. For the game to end 2-2 and go to penalties was a fair reflection of that. And in penalties, anything can happen. But we've been watching, us in the UPSL, and especially down in the UPSL South here, we've been watching this team and we know how good they are, and we knew they were capable of this kind of result. We knew they were capable of the same thing against Miami FC, and they did it now against Charlotte. So we'll have to see now what happens in the next round. But then it's back to business down here in UPSL, in the Florida South. Just to wrap that up a little bit, we have coming to the crunch part of the season. A very exciting game on Friday between Port St. Lucie United and Boca Raton FC in the Palm Beach division. That could decide who wins the regular season. Palm Beach Spartans are still in the mix there as well. So follow those results. And then down in the day division, yeah, it's still a battle between the Florida Soccer Soldiers Red Force as well and Miami Sun, who can't be counted out. So, the Florida Soccer Soldiers are going to be enjoying this experience, but they've got to get back into making sure they finish well in the Division 2. But those boys did well. They can really play. Everyone knows it now. Everyone's seen it. And they're a good technical side. And it wouldn't surprise me if they maybe pull off a little bit of a shock when they go back up north. We'll have to wait and see. But keep your eye on the Florida South Division as well. Great to talk to you guys.
Dennis, before we even discuss anything, I want to thank Lee Ifans, the correspondent for Florida, for his report. And he said it just right. This was a big game. Florida Soccer Soldiers, they got it done, and you mentioned it just right. They played against a USL team, and this was a huge challenge, and a lot of people didn't think that they were going to come out with the victory, but they come out with the upset. They came up, as you mentioned before, the cup set, but they came out and they got the victory. They got the dub.
Yep, it's a massive thing for them, certainly as a club, and for the league as a UPSO. We love to see the teams advance in the U.S. Open Cup, and to get to the third round is definitely a major credit to the club. Lee Ifans is great. He was at a watch party for the game last night. Didn't travel to Charlotte, was at a watch party, set it up at a bar, restaurant. And as the game went on, people started texting each other, hey, you got to get down here, watch this game. The crowd swelled from like 20 initially to, he said, nearly 100 people, by the end. And so, it doesn't take much, right? Just a little bit of excitement, some good soccer, to make some magic happen. And I think this is definitely proof of that. I think this was an awesome experience for everybody involved, and we really look forward to seeing Soccer Soldiers who they match up against next.
And we also talk about in previous episodes where the viewership in Florida is very strong as well. So can you imagine what it was like watching and for the Florida natives to watch and support their Florida Soccer Soldiers?
Yeah, I'm sure the viewership for it was great on ESPN Plus. I think everybody sort of tuned in midweek to know that this game was on. The Soccer Soldiers was the team to watch in Florida, so I think it probably drew quite well.
And I mean, for it being a midweek game, as you mentioned, for people to come into the bar on a Tuesday,
Right.
you know how bars could be a little dead on a
Yeah.
weekday, but
It is Miami though, right? So
that's a different story.
totally different thing.
I mean, you know how Miami could be, and that's great support. I
Yeah,
would definitely
yeah.
say, and
To have a watch party for a UPSL team organized locally, I think that speaks volumes about where the league is, where the clubs are, and what can be next. So it's really special.
And the one thing that I really liked that you mentioned, Dennis, on off the top was you mentioned this is a UPSL team, and the fact that they beat a USL team, people are very much going to be curious about Florida Soccer Soldiers, and now they're going to be curious about the UPSL and say, if the Florida Soccer Soldiers beat a USL team now, I wonder what other teams they have that is very much talented, and that's going to be the recognition that the league's going to receive.
That's a natural thought to have and question to ask, and I think these sort of events throughout the league's history have drawn people into the league. So every time this has been happening now since 2015-16, teams have been advancing from the UPSL into the third round, into the fourth round of US Open Cup, and every single time the league gets a little bit bigger. Eyeballs get a little bit more. So to do this season and bring this attention to UPSL Florida, I think is massive for that division down there and everybody who plays down there. The support for them down there is crazy. It's got it from the other UPSL teams. It's got to be nuts. So keep doing it, man. Keep doing it, Soldiers. Keep hitting it, Valentin Sabella. Keep scoring goals and making this happen for you guys. I think this is really cool. William Stamatis. They have some really great players down there.
So, since they are the only UPSL team that's left in the U.S. Open Cup, you can imagine that the rest of the league of the UPSL would be rooting these.
Oh, at this point, the entire league is behind Soccer Soldiers. They're, the last best chance the league has at representation. So, if you're not behind the Soccer Soldiers at this point, now's the time.
So, what can we expect for the next game? I mean, you have the confidence already that you made it this far and winning it in a dramatic fashion, I would say, for the Florida Soccer Soldiers. What can you expect moving on to the next round?
Well, to maintain momentum, that's the main thing. So they're going to have to come back into league play, probably play a couple of league matches, keep the level high, keep training level high, keep everything high, because from here on out, the teams are going to get tougher, the rosters are going to get deeper, more talented, the challenge is tougher. So I think you constantly going to have to raise your level as you go, and it's going to get more difficult. So it's not so much about, what do they do next, is, can they get better every day? That's probably the main thing, is how do they get better every day? And if you can achieve that, then I think you stand as good a chance as anybody. So, they're soccer teams at the end of the day, right? You're going up against another group of guys. What's the fear? Is there fear? Just because they play in a higher level or league or, have a more prominent name, does that really change things on the field? Not at all. So I think that's the mindset that Soldiers will take, into games like this. And it proves, they're already proving that they have that mindset to take down the teams that they've taken down already. So this is not counting the game that they won via forfeit over America Soccer Club. This is their 5th victory in U.S. Open Cup tournament play this year. So they're doing the right things. And I think you just keep doing what you're doing at this point. You're successful so far. They're grinding. They're finding ways to win. And I think that's all a good team can do. Right? So they're really, they're finding Daniel Godoy has really, got his fingers into this team, knows how to push their buttons and knows these players very well, has brought in a ton of these players, handpicked a bunch of these players. And so I think he's sort of the mad genius behind all of this at this point. And he's proving to be, he's already been called the Pep Guardiola of the UPSL. And I think, they win another game here in US Open Cup play perhaps, and, he's going to receive a lot of attention, from higher levels. He's already coached, in the NPSL. and done some other things. But I think, long Open Cup runs really raised the profile of the players in the team, just the same as, playing in the playoffs in the NBA really raises the profile of players and teams, or playing in the NCAA tournament raises, the level of players and teams. So, it's the same sort of effect media-wise that this has. And Daniel Godoy, I think, stands the best chance at sort of taking this to something next, because he's the mad genius, behind all of this. So he knows what he has planned, he knows what he's doing and has in store for these guys. The group of players that Soldiers is playing with is varied. I think is the best way to put it. They have former professionals, they have young guys. It's all over the map, so you can't really sort of pigeonhole what is next for sort of each player. Some players still have, long careers ahead of them. Some of them are winding down their careers. But Daniel Godoy, he's in his early 40s. And I think he stands the best chance of really, becoming something prolific in terms of coaching out of this.
So for all of you UPSL fans, make sure to have your eyes on the Florida Soccer Soldiers and see what's coming up for them, and make sure to cheer them on. But we're going to go ahead and step aside. But when we come back, we'll have the Mike Cuju Goals of the Week coming right up.
Mr. John manages a small football club with just a few followers. Every day he wonders, how can I attract more supporters? Internet is the answer, but a channel is time-consuming, expensive, and hard to maintain. Everything has changed since Mr. John met Mike Cujo, the football broadcasting solution for small and medium-sized clubs and leagues. Mr. John noticed how everything has started to change quickly when supporters and fans began to arrive. If you want your club to enjoy the same benefits as Mr. John's, sign up with mycujo.tv. Attract more followers for your club and empower its business now. MyCujo, democratization of football broadcasting. mycujo.tv.
Welcome back to Inside the UPSL, presented by TV Emax. And now it's the Mike Cuju Goals of the Week, presented by The Right Stuff, the UPSL official partner. And those are the candidates for the Mike Cuju Goals of the Week. And Dennis, week in and week out, these goals are just getting harder and harder to even really choose one. But all of them are great candidates this week, and all of them just have like that one thing that makes them very unique between all the other ones.
Yeah, some special goals again this week. Really, really cool goals. Some of my favorites from this week were the last two. The Ash Muhammad goal for Vlora City. His little shibby shake like you do, the whoop, and then he hit it top, and that was a great goal. And then he scored 3 goals in that game. and that's just a phenomenal, to have that kind of goal and also have a hat trick in that game. What a game for that guy. And then the last player for Boca Raton City, Ryan Price, had 4 goals in that game. If you watch that goal, see it over and over again, what he does to that defender and what he does to that goalkeeper, I mean, just playing him like a fiddle. Amazing goal. So yeah, be sure to vote. Voting ends Thursday night at 11:59 p.m. So make sure you do get those votes in. Right now, not exactly sure which goal is leading, but I think it's the long distance one from Chris Molina. I'm not exactly sure up to date which one is which. Which one's leading at the moment? Did you say? Oh, we don't have that information yet. So anyway, make sure you make the votes. The vote this week, the last few weeks have been up over 200 votes. We want to keep getting those kind of numbers in. It's been good. It's been good so far.
And last week was a very close race as well.
Very, very close.
Very close.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the more votes that people could get in, the more interesting it becomes. But, just really quick to talk about the Ryan Price shot. It looks like something you see from like Mario Strikers or Mario Soccer or something. You just see it just bouncing it right over the goalie, and you just see him just kick it in, and he's wide open right there.
Amazing control. Really, yeah, it's really a fantastic goal. I think that one deserves a lot of credit just for the individual effort that player gave. To play it and play it up twice, and play keepy uppy like that, and just phenomenal stuff from Boca Raton overall and Ryan Price. A really, really cool goal. Yeah, you said it, man. The goals keep getting better and better every week. I don't know how they're going to top it next week, but I'm sure they will.
But not to take any credit away from Jonathan Ayala with that first shot.
That's right, Jonathan Ayala.
Jonathan Ayala came up with a shot and was able to curve it in, and he was at least on the side of the
right, with a scissor kick too, a little one-time scissor kick action he had for Contra Costa. That was a pretty sweet goal too. Like, they're all great in their own way, right? They all got that little moment of magic. So yeah, some really cool stuff. And the Right Stuff, again, sponsoring the whole promotion. Can't thank them enough. Each week they're sending the winner a prize pack. And then, of course, there's going to be the end of the season prize for the Goal of the Year winner and all that, too. But every week, the winner gets a prize pack from the Right Stuff that includes, plenty of product from the Right Stuff. And, they're the official hydration partner of the UPSL. So you're getting some really cool stuff.
And if you guys want to be a part of the magic as well, the polls will close at 11:59 p.m. tonight. You guys can vote on Twitter and even on Facebook. Don't forget to vote tonight and help out any of these players to win from the prizes from the Right Stuff. But we're going to go ahead and step aside. But when we come back, it'll be time for Dennis and I to throw on our swing shoes. Welcome back to Inside the UPSL, presented by TV EMAX. And it's time to make our way to the East Coast swing as we talk about the pressing topics across the UPSL East. We'll first start off in Florida as the PSL United SC and Palm Beach Spartans are tied with 19 points. What's next for the Pro Premier Florida Palm Broward Division co-leaders?
Yeah, the competition in the Broward division has been the tightest of any of the Florida divisions this year. There's 3 teams up there, but right now PSL United and Palm Beach Spartans, they're tied with 19 points with just a couple of games left in the regular season. And the really cool thing is PSL United plays Boca Raton, which is a third place team with 18 points this weekend. So there could still be some shake-up there. But I think right now PSL United really getting those Mike Cujo views. They're really cranking out, sponsorship opportunities for their club, with their massive viewership numbers, and they're performing, for the cameras too. So I think, they've had a phenomenal spring season. I don't think anybody really expected this out of PSL United at the moment. Palm Beach Spartans, a little bit more affluent club. I think people were expecting good things from them. Maybe this is a step ahead of where they were supposed to be, but at the same time, these teams are going to be in that playoff chase, and I think either way, it's going to be exciting. So I think both PSL United and their game with Boca Raton is going to be massive this week, and then coming down the stretch, whoever Palm Beach Spartans plays is in for a tough one because they're going to be fighting for that top spot.
Maybe another bar promotion there to get a lot of people to watch?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think My Cujo is providing that opportunity to get your game up on the big screen wherever you want it, right? So if you want it at home, if you want it on your garage, if you have the capability to put it up, My Cujo will let that team, film that game. So.
And of course, like we mentioned before, Florida just has that capability of being able to have a very big viewership and just having a lot of people watch a lot of these games over in Florida.
It's a hotbed for UPSL, that's for sure. Yeah, people are loving it down there.
So now let's shift over to the Southeast with Charleston United SC getting another Charleston Derby victory. So what's that going to mean as far as...
That's tough for Low Country United for sure to have lost both games to Charleston United in the Derby Charleston this season. Where do they go from here after losing both those games? Charleston United was a team that came in, this was their first spring season, and to come in and dominate the city and the Derby like that, it's got to be disheartening for Low Country. Low Country is prideful. Alan Bahadori is a great steward for his club and what Low Country means to that community. He's going to definitely take this game, take this result, and try and change things. Do something differently, to try and make a difference here coming up this next season, because he won't sit back and let this stand for sure.
So now let's talk a little bit about the Atlanta Caribbean, as the Honduras 5 Stars knocking on the division leaders as far as the top of the table is. Will this be a change for the division?
Well, they won this past weekend to really keep the pressure on Forest Rovers, and they're really proving over the course of the season that they can hang with the best teams in the Atlantic Caribbean division. They have a certain style that they play, certainly being Honduran, and they're showing that is effective in that division against those teams who may or may not have seen that before, or maybe not at this caliber that 5 Stars is producing. So they're really clicking. They've won a bunch of games in a row, or they're unbeaten over a 5-game stretch now, and they're just doing productive things to move themselves up the table. I think they're as much a favorite as Forest Rovers is at this point. They're 1 point difference. So I think going down the stretch, if you're going to put something on Honduras 5 Stars, that's a good bet.
So do you see them as the top team in that division, or is it still going to be as close as it's been?
For a newcomer to come in, but Forest Rovers the same thing. They're an expansion team too. They just have a little bit more of a foundation in that division, and sort of an already developed notion of what the Atlantic Caribbean and what Forest Rovers is. Honduras 5 Star, they're coming from a different segment of that Atlanta soccer population. They're clearly have a different influence, and I think that is proving positive for them. I think having teams in there with that Hispanic Latin flavor is going to change the way that division works, and I think it's good. Whether or not they finish first or second, they're probably going to play in a division playoff and get a chance to show that that they can be champions one way or the other.
So now let's move over to the Northeast with the Philadelphia Lone Stars and the New Jersey Teamsters drawing the 1-1 draw over the weekend. Do you think the hangover is still there for the Lone Stars after that controversial offsides call with the US
that
Open?
that was a tough game and a tough way to lose for Lone Star in the first round of the US Open Cup, and to come back and get a point against New Jersey Teamsters in a league match really shows their commitment to the league structure, playing in the UPSL, and still demanding quality out of the team that plays in the UPSL. But the whole club is down after that. That was a massive loss for them, and to have scored a goal like that to potentially tie the game, get called for offside, and it was a marginal call, and of course there's no VAR or any way to review it. It just is what it is, right? And they have to move on. They didn't have a choice, and still find the energy and the resolve to come back on the weekend and get a 1-1, basically what probably feels like a win for them, considering the week that they've had. It shows Lone Star's quality. They are, that top level team that can play in both the NPSL and the UPSL. They are that team that can compete in the US Open Cup at a high level, and they can come back from devastating losses and still get results. And they're proving that they're one of the top teams in the league.
How do you progress and move on from something like that if you are the Lone Stars?
That's a tough question. What do you take from a victory that you think may or may not be valid? How do you compartmentalize that and sort of see value in what just happened, other than, reminding yourselves that it's the club's job and the player's job to act with class, no matter what the result is, and prove that the club can do that, prove that the club can step up in times of difficulty and still, be respectable and be respectful.
Now let's make our way over to the Midwest with the Vlora FC off to a surprising 2-0 start in the North Division. But was that excellent goal from Ashara Mohammed a sign of things to come?
For him, I think it's a definite warning sign to the rest of the division that says, hey man, I can score goals in this division. I put up 3. I can put up highlights. You got to get 1 or 2 men on me at all times to guard me, or I'm going to continue to produce goals. Vlora, second year in the UPSL. They started initially last season with the rest of the Midwest Division, and I think this season, it looks like they're taking major strides. They have a guy who can pump goals in the back of the net, and that's number one. I mean, if you got that, then you have confidence all the way back to goalkeeper. If you got a guy up front who can score dazzlers, and juke guys out of their cleats, and score upper 90 goals, I think that just resonates to the rest of the club, and I think they're going to feed off that. So I would really expect to see Vlora challenging in that division in a place where we thought FC Minneapolis was probably the top team in that division. It could be Vlora.
Mm-hmm. I mean, especially when you have a guy, like you said, that could be juking people going whoop and be
Right.
moving guys left and right and be coming in with his dancing moves
Right.
with his own. Definitely going to be somebody that can really establish a lot of offense on the
Yeah.
team like that.
Yeah, I think that's big for them. I don't know if they had Ash Muhammad last season. I don't know, where he was on the soccer map. So to have him come in and score early and often, I think that's going to change the scope of their season.
All right. Now the next stop is going to be over in the Central as the playoffs look to be seated as the Waco FC, Inocentes FC, Houston FC, and Almeida FC. Who's your pick to win? Going to be a tough decision to make between these 4, but you have to choose one.
That's an excellent question. I don't know if the Central season is decided, if these are the final 4 teams, but I think this is a good shout at who the final 4 teams could be. Waco FC, they've had some really excellent results this season. They've had, goal of the week competitors, Jorge De Leon, who we've mentioned before. He's been nominated twice, won once. And, we know goal scorers change teams, so I think Waco, if they have a guy like De Leon who's scoring goals, that's a good thing for them. They might be the dark horse, I think, of the 4, though, just based on the other 3 clubs. Inocentes FC, if you follow the UPSL, Inocentes FC. The fall season's national runner-up. They've won the Central Division back-to-back seasons. Just one of the best teams in Texas. If you don't know about them, Inocentes FC is one of the best teams in Texas. And then Houston FC, they play in the PDL, formerly the PDL, now the USL League 2. But they're a well-structured club in Houston. Got a lot of really good things going on, have an academy. They're just a solid club from top down, decided to join the UPSL to try and run full season year-round. And they've produced their best season in the UPSL yet. And then the new team, the expansion team, Almeida FC, owned by Matias Almeida, the head coach of San Jose FC, or San Jose Earthquakes, I should say, but a legend in Mexico. And this is his academy, his first team in the UPSL. They got quality guys with tons of skill. And I think, these 4 teams would make an excellent Final 4 bracket in the Central Division. But my head says, don't be stupid. This is Inocentes. They own the Central Division. There's no way, if they're in the playoffs, that they're going to walk away not winning. But the quality is rising so quickly in the Central Division that, who knows? Who really knows what happens when they get down on the field? Which one of these teams is honestly and earnestly better. Could it be Almeida? Do they have some tricks up their sleeve? Houston FC, they got good players. And Waco, we know they got a guy that can score goals. But we know Inocentes FC. We know they have Oscar Romero. They know, all about the rest of the league. So they have experience on their side, and they got great players. So, if I was to say I had to pick one, it would be Inocentes. If I had to pick one of the other three, and say, okay, we know about Inocentes and pick one of the other three, I would probably pick Houston FC just based upon the pedigree. So I guess in this decision, I would probably pick safely, and it would probably be Inocentes or Houston FC.
Well, I can't ask you if we were to eliminate Inocentes. You already beat me to the chase.
Yeah, okay.
There, so I
Fair
can't
enough.
ask you anymore.
Fair
so
enough.
You beat me to the chase, but that's going to conclude the East Coast swing. But when we come back, we'll make our way to the UPSL. What's up? Welcome back to Inside the UPSL, presented by TV EMAX. As we say, what's up, West Coast? Let's take a look at what's hot in the UPSL West Side. We'll first start off with the Southwest as Sporting AZ FC moving to a 2-0-0 record after a 2-1 victory over MSC United. And it was much closer than last week's game. I remember you were saying that it was going to be FC Grande that was going to open up with the win.
Well, that was a 2-0 victory. Not that much difference, but Sporting AZ off to another great start. I think everybody knows that they're the team to beat. We mentioned them all the offseason. Who's going to beat Sporting AZ? Who's it going to be? And so far, nobody. They scored 2 goals. Edgar Garcia for them scored a brace on each side of halftime, and they pretty much dominant in this game until the end. MSC got a goal at the end of the game to, make things interesting, but it was all Sporting AZ up to that point. And they're just, they're sort of a juggernaut there in the Phoenix area. Phoenix Rising is its own thing, and they got their own thing going, but Sporting AZ is a club that's been there. They really developed themselves in that area from Mesa to Phoenix, and just a great club. I mean, the way Tim Marchesotto runs the thing, he's brought in a great coach who brings in great players. He's got, great guys on the team who hold up the standard of the team. And, I think it's just a great environment for a club to grow there. And they got great branding, great colors, a great marketing guy. They got everything going for them right now. And I think, if they play well and stick to the plan, they're going to be right back there in the national championship hunt here at the end of the spring season.
You might think I'm out of my mind, or you might think that I'm crazy, unless you already think I'm crazy already. But so I know it's very early on in the season, and they're already off to a perfect season. Do you see them remaining perfect?
No, that's super hard to do. I think the season is long. I mean, their conference season is short, specifically because they play in like an 8-team conference. They're going to just play 7 games, I think, this spring. But once you get to the playoffs, it's a grind. They're going to have to play the Western Conference champion. They're going to have to play, some big, heavy hitters from Southern California to get to the national championship game, and it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy. Last spring, they made it to the national championship, which was a different format in the spring. All 8 teams were brought together, and it was a big deal where you played multiple games over the weekend. Here it's sort of a natural playoff progression, and they're going to have to travel potentially. They're going to have to do things to continue to win. Not that they can't do that, but it's going to be difficult, and they're going to have to play some very difficult teams to get there. They're a great club. Anybody going undefeated is a tough bet. Is a real tough bet.
So the grind starts now early on the year, but now let's shift over to the mountain region as San Juan FC and Utah Murciélagos are tied right now with 19 points. What's next for these clubs being tied up with a record of 6-1-1?
Yeah, San Juan FC again, another great season for them to back up what they did last fall on the field, and Utah Murciélagos, an expansion team. I don't think anybody expected that out of them. The really efficient season for them, really, really good, and just the competition there in the mountain was super, super intense this year. I don't think anybody saw Boise Cutthroat slipping to 4th. that says a lot about the new teams, Gordis FC and some of the others there, creating a real deep division, real deep conference there in the mountains. So, there's a couple games still left to play to decide who's going to be Mountain Conference champion, but, to be right there with San Juan at the end of the season, kudos to Marcial Lagos. We're going to have to find out more about them as the season goes on.
Mm-hmm. So it could be a surprise, or it could be a sleeper. It could be anything, any team that can slip up from the horizons and definitely make a big move. But now let's shift over to the Pacific Northwest with first preseason game coming right up, and that's on Monday, May 20th. Are you excited for this?
Yeah, that's massive. I mean, that's everything to get a game up in Alaska happening, and it's this Monday night coming up. I think, hopefully we can get that game on Mike Cujo, praying. Anything that we can do to get some highlights from that game or to get a glimpse of the action up there, I think would be special. They're going to play at Romig Middle School, which has a solid field there, I've been told, and they're going to try it out there for this preseason game. Two UPSL Alaska teams. Who would have ever thought, this day was coming here? So big Monday night soccer up there in Alaska. It's going to be a big deal.
You think we could do a round trip, go to Alaska, come back before the next inside the UPSL?
If we can put it together, you can call your travel agent. Maybe I'll call my people, call your people. But I think at some point we got to get up there, right? We got to bring something back. We got to show the people that this is happening. If Mike Cujo's not happening yet, we're going to have to go up there and get some footage or find a way to get some footage so we can see it and we can bring it to the people. Should we start to GoFundMe now to make Inside the UPSL from Anchorage, Alaska a thing? The ideas are starting to, this spring season, I think, really got us amplified and really looking forward to what's going to happen.
You could put this in the crock pot as well. Maybe we could do an Inside the UPSL from Alaska.
That's what I'm saying, from Anchorage. That's where Alaska is, or that's where. So, yeah, I mean, we want to go. It's the summertime. The weather should be okay, right? I think, that being able to get up there and get a sense of what it would be like, for future generations of UPSL players up there would be a special thing. I'm really looking forward to it. I know it's going to happen at some point if we stick around. We're going to get to go. It's going to happen.
Yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed. Hope you guys can keep your fingers crossed as well.
Do you cross your pinkies too?
Yeah.
What's up with that?
I do it with both. Do you
I've never seen that before.
You never seen this? It just goes like that. I just cross it.
Okay, for sure.
Maybe you could start doing it too. It's extra luck.
Extra luck.
Extra luck. It's not this. It's both of them.
All four.
There you go. You got the hang of it already. There you go.
I feel like I'm putting up some gang signs. Let's move on.
So now let's talk about some NorCal, as Contra Costa FC now leads the way with 3 games to go. Who's going to come up to the top? Who wants it more?
They've really elevated themselves here this last week with a victory in Pajaro Valley. Still right there. They got a tie against Jaza Redwood City to sort of not get as many points. So Contra Costa got 3 this last weekend. Pajaro Valley only got 1, so they got a 2-point advantage now. Still anybody's conference to win, but like we talked about last week, I think Contra Costa is going to begin here this last few weeks to show their level. To show that they can hang and they can play a full season and get the job done. We haven't seen that yet from Pajaro Valley. I think this is the point where they start to hit the wall and start to sort of fade a little. They might be right there at the end of the season, but I still think this is Contra Costa's conference and division, Wild West division to win.
Mm-hmm. So how do you think it'll be a very close margin over there in NorCal, or do you think it'll be Contra Costa going to be taking?
I think it's going to be kind of comfortable, 3-4 points, maybe as many as 5 points here at the end of the season.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, last stop, we do have SoCal as the championship tiers. Alta California Soul and InGen Total Football earning the promotion in the Pro Premier and fall season. Who's going to win this matchup?
Well, they don't play, right? They earn automatic promotion from each the SoCal championship tiers, the North and the South. Alta California Soul was the championship tier North, SoCal North Division champion, so they earn automatic promotion. InGen Total Football was the South Division champion, so they earn automatic promotion. And then there will be a promotion playoff, so teams 2 and 3 from each division will match up against, conversely, teams 2 and 3 from the other division, and that'll be for the last promotion spot to Pro Premier. So there'll be one more promotion spot still to play. Alta California Sol got out to that great start that we all talked about, right? They were unbeaten through, what, 8 games, 9 games, something like that, before they kind of hit a couple of bumps. And just put together a really solid season, 11-1-1 throughout the regular season, 34 points. I think that's fantastic, right, for an expansion club. And then you look at the other side, Engine Total Football, this club that sort of came out of nowhere, another expansion team this past season, sort of just is an academy, a training club that does teams that travel to places like Europe and does different things, and they decided to join the UPSL, saw it as a good opportunity, and here they are. They're 11-2-0, got 35 points. You know, these are amazing totals for expansion clubs, and so to see these teams now get a chance to move into the Pro Premier should be pretty exciting, and speaks to the level and the caliber of teams that are joining the UPSL straight away. These are teams that are coming in and competing at a high level right away. And I think that bodes well for teams who want to join the UPSL to say, hey, we got a great club. We can do some things. You know, look at what those teams do. We think we can do that too. So I think this is a motivating thing for other clubs. You know, see these teams earning promotion. It's massive, massive for clubs all over the world. Promotion is massive. And to be able to see it here and see new teams come in and just, you know, bear fruit immediately is fantastic for the league. And congratulations certainly to Alta California Sol and Engine Total Football and the people that run those clubs. You know, I think we're going to be hearing a lot more from them for years to come too.
So definitely don't sleep on any of those clubs coming up that are coming in pretty hot lately and doing some big things over there in SoCal. But that's all the time we have left, guys. We thank you so much for tuning in tonight. And of course, we want to thank Lee Ifans for his recap video of the exciting and insane game, whatever you guys want to say about the game for the Florida Soccer Soldiers. And as always, we thank Dennis Pope for being with us always here.
Yep, always here. I live here. You can't get rid of me.
This is your second home, and you know what? It might be a second home.
It might be my first home.
More than the primary home. But of course, Dennis Pope always here with us, and I was your host, Alex Naveja. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good night, everybody.